So how could we make our first example a little bit more interesting and at the same time a little bit more practical? Okay, so I'll just rearrange this and comment our initial version of this very simplistic output on the same line. And so now let's do the same work a little bit different. So I'll repeat this loop. So we want to do something with the number in this range. And the first thing that we could do is just to compute the percent of work complete, right? So if we have this maximum number, we could just simply make the computation here and just like basically compute the percent and say, okay, so percent equals basically 100 multiplied by this number in progress, right, divided by maximum. Of course, this division operator returns back a floating point number, so I have to cast it to an integer. And one important thing to remember is that the maximum, if the maximum is 0, this would actually create division by 0 error. So just be aware of it. But I'm not doing anything about it right now because we don't want to overextend in this demonstration. So if we have this, we could just simply print this instead of printing the number. We could just basically print the percent, right? So we can just start computing the percent and say in our code we would like to display percent of progress as opposed to basically the some kind of number in progress, which could be internal value. It's not necessarily something that makes any sense to the user, but percent from 0 to 100 always makes sense to the user. So let's give this a try. So just simply stop the current execution of the program, all right, and just run it again like this, and you see that right now it's printing just basically from 0 to 99. So why 99? Of course, because the range is always one less than the maximum, so we technically never reach the 100%. We just stop at 99, but that's okay. It's pretty close to what we want. So we could just basically artificially say that we know for sure that once we are out of this loop, the work is completely done, right? So we can do it just simply this way, just simply print 100% complete at the end of this output. So let's see how this looks like. Again, I just press Control-C to terminate the current execution and rerun this program. We'll perhaps clear screen and rerun the program. All right, so it goes from 0 to 100%, right? And so this is purely artificial, but supposedly we know that 100% of progress is already reached. All right, so displaying this 0 to 100 is okay. It's better than showing some sort of arbitrary internal values. However, perhaps we can just step back and say, let's display progress only on each like 10% of progress. Okay, so instead of showing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%, we're just going to show 10, 20, 30 and make it more like, more readable and easier to follow by human eye, right? So we can just say that let's compute the percent. Okay, so how could we do this? Well, we already computing the percent, but we don't want to show it exactly the way it is. Instead, we want to say if percent modulo, right, which computes, which divides the percent by 10, and if the remainder of the division happens to be 0, which means it's evenly divides by 10, it means that we reach this mark, like 10, 20, 30, and so forth. So we have an opportunity to do something at every 10% of progress, right? So that's my comment here. And on every 10% of the progress, what we could do, we could actually make it even more interesting. We could say that instead of, well, again, we first of all, we need to use an indicator that we will be printing. Although we computing the percent, I no longer want to show the percent. I will be just constructing my own indicator, which is basically like it's a percent, but it's updated only on every 10% of progress, and that's what I will be printing. And so what I would like to do is to use, let me just sort of like type this in. And the idea is that I would like to show the indicator, right? So I want to show the indicator, and I want to print the percent. It's all just like, sugar coating. And with strings, remember how we could concatenate the strings, but it's also possible to take a string and multiply it by some kind of integer value. And in our case, it's a percent. And so it will just basically multiply X by 10, by 20, and so forth. And so this will be like showing like a real progress bar because it's a string. And again, the ending of the line is carriage return, so everything's supposed to appear on the same line. Okay, and so let's give it a try, right? So we can just so here at the end of the line, I think I will also try to mimic what I currently do. So instead of printing percent, I compute the percent, but I don't want to show it. Instead, I will be stuck at 10%, like 0, then 10, then 20, and show progress only as we move along. So something like this. So let's give this a try.